Caseus, Clone Wars. Part 1, The Rookie and the Padawan. Chapter 4. The Countess stood, immobilized by fear, as Ventress brought the blade of her curved saber closer to her neck. "You sent the distress signal."
"Well, it seems you're not as stupid as I thought. Your master was able to negotiate a deal with the Countess for an alliance with her Dessa, despite your previous tantrum. I tried to make a counteroffer with the Countess, though I'm afraid I was unsuccessful. But I feel the time for negotiating has passed, and the time for action has come. The Countess now has a simple choice: align with the Confederacy, or perish as we take the planet."
"Then why did you call me down?"
"Because if there's one thing I love more than killing a Jedi."
Ventress was now singeing the hairs on the Countess's head with her blade.
"It's seeing them rendered helpless. Drop your weapon, boy, and the Countess will live. If you don't, I'll kill her where she stands."
Caseus looked at the Countess and back to Ventress before dropping his lightsaber to the floor.
"That's better. Now, Your Highness, have you reconsidered my proposal? You're a vile creature."
Ventress sneered and touched her blade to the neck of the Countess, burning her skin as she screamed. "Stop!"
"Not another step, Padawan."
Caseus stayed still, fearing for the life of Countess Sindara.
"Now, what were you saying?" I will join with you. That's what I wanted to hear. Just sign the paper and this whole mess will be over."
The Countess quickly signed the document sitting on the table and held her neck in pain. Ventress retrieved the paper and put it in the pocket of her cloak.
"You have my sincerest gratitude, Your Highness. But I'm afraid I was unable to apprehend the Jedi who killed you."
Ventress quickly lifted her blade to strike as Caseus reached out with the Force, holding her arm still. "Countess, run!" Countess Sindara ran towards the door as Ventress broke free and attempted to pursue her. Caseus pulled his lightsaber to his hand and held it at the ready, igniting the emerald blade. "You have no idea how much I'm looking forward to this." Ventress threw down her cloak and ignited a second blade.
"The Countess has surrendered her Dessa to us. Killing you will be a wonderful bonus."
Ventress rushed at Caseus and attacked ferociously. Caseus relied on his Form 3 training and blocked her strikes. As he batted away her blades, he leapt over her head and swung at her back. Ventress quickly ducked and evaded the Jedi blade and kicked Caseus' leg from under him, attempting to pierce him into the ground with both of her blades. Caseus, acting on instinct, rolled out of the way and, using the Force, threw a large metal chair at Ventress, who quickly sliced it in half.
"Your master should be disgusted. You fight like a child with a stick."
"My master is proud of me. I won't let her down again." Ventress and Caseus collided their blades again, illuminating the room in flashes of green and red. Meanwhile, Master Takai ran to Caseus' quarters and opened the door.
"R3, I need your help now. Caseus is in trouble."
Master Takai and R3 ran to the hangar. Cutting through a large panel on the wall exposing hundreds of wires and switches, the Jedi Master looked at the droid. "The ray shield generator has been damaged. I need you to override the emergency doors. Once they're open, I'll fly out. Close them as soon as I'm gone. Understood?" Master Takai ran to a clone gunship and hopped inside.
"General, wait!"
Captain Kriega arrived, accompanied by 2 clone pilots.
"Kenji, Maka, get it down to the surface and get our men back here safely." "Yes, sir."
Master Takai nodded and sat inside the shuttle while the 2 accompanying clones got into the cockpit. "R3, hurry!" R3 scrambled and sliced as fast as he could, cutting wires, rerouting circuits, and flipping switches. Suddenly, the emergency doors opened as the vacuum of space began to suck out anything not tethered down. "Let's go!" The gunship flew out of the hangar and into space as R3 released the controls and let the doors close again. Master Takai could sense that Caseus was in trouble. They had to get down there fast. "Troopers, on the double!"
"Yes, General."
The gunship flew down towards Herdessa, evading the starships firing at them. All the while, Juro was on his stolen speeder, droid scouts hot on his tail.
"This was a terrible idea."
Aiming his blaster behind him, he fired at the droids following him, managing to damage one of the 3 speeders. It swerved, crashing into one of the others. Now it was a single droid scout hot on his tail. As he looked ahead, he saw a steep drop and immediately halted the speeder, narrowly avoiding going over the edge. Engaging the thrusters, he sped towards the droid scout, who fired a few shots at him. His poor aim reminded Jiro just how inferior droids were to clones, as he fired off one final shot directly into the chest of his pursuer and sending him careening over the steep drop, erupting into a ball of fire.
Oh, not bad if I do say so myself. Now to get back to the commander.
Jiro quickly sped back towards the palace. As he approached the gates, he saw the Countess fleeing from her palace in terror, holding her neck. The clone quickly stopped the speeder and ran to her.
Countess, are you okay?
Please, don't hurt me.
Jiro quickly removed his helmet and looked at her.
It's okay. I'm here to help you. Are you hurt?
The Countess nodded and showed a very nasty burn from Ventress' saber on her neck.
Your Highness, I've been trained to deal with severe wounds. If you'll allow me, I can help you.
The Countess nodded and sat down as Jiro removed a small tube of ointment from his belt.
It's not much, but this Bacta solution will help with the pain until we can get you proper medical attention.
Jiro removed a large bandage from his belt and placed it on her wound.
Thank you. Now please, get me out of here.
Your Grace, I promise. I will get you to safety.
As he looked to the sky, he saw a separatist transport make its way to the surface.
Get on the speeder. We need to get out of here.
What about your Jedi friend?
Trust me, he can handle himself. No doubt his master is on her way down now as we speak.
Well then, hurry. Get us out of here.
Right away.
Jiro quickly ignited the thrusters on his speeder as they fled the palace. Caseus was having trouble keeping up with the ferocity of Ventress. Their duel made its way out of the conference chamber and into the outside waiting area. Caseus tried to rush to the elevator, but Ventress sliced through the controls and kept her attacks coming. As Caseus dodged one of her swings, her scarlet blade pierced through the large window. Caseus knew he needed to gain more distance and jumped out onto a small catwalk that bordered the top of the palace. Ventress pursued him with fire in her eyes. Soon they reached the top of the palace, powerful winds threatening their balance.
Nowhere left to run, Padawan. I'll be sure to send what's left of you back to your master.
If you're having this much trouble with me, Ventress, you wouldn't last 5 minutes with her.
Typical Jedi arrogance. I'll cut out your insolent tongue.
Caseus looked around. She was right. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Just a several 100-foot plummet onto solid stone. He had to think quickly, fall back on the lessons from Master Takai's book. Ventress charged at Caseus and sliced at his neck in a scissoring motion. Caseus ducked, narrowly avoiding decapitation, and swept his leg under her foot, knocking her off balance and striking at her shoulder. Ventress caught his blade with one of her own and attempted to stab Caseus through his stomach with the other, but the Padawan quickly broke off the engagement and fell back on the defensive. He was beginning to tire, and Ventress could see it. She pressed her attack harder and harder. Soon, Caseus was being saved by pure instinct. He wouldn't last much longer. Meanwhile, Jiro was speeding with Countess Sindara. The transport had sent more droids who were once again in pursuit of the clone.
They're relentless.
The speeder is low on power. We won't last much longer at this rate.
The speeder began to slow down as the pursuing droids began to catch up. Just when Jiro thought their luck had run out, the droid scouts were blasted into pieces. Looking up, he saw an approaching LAAT shuttle, guns still smoking.
Thank the Force.
The shuttle landed as Master Takai stepped out and helped the Countess on board.
Are you all right, Countess? I'm fine. I just need to sit for a moment.
Trooper, where is Caseus?
He's back at the palace.
Ventress.
Kenji, take us to the palace as fast as you can.
Yes, General.
Caseus continued his desperate battle with the assassin. He was now relying on every piece of saber training he could remember, but it was no use. Ventress had a counter for everything he threw at her.
You're definitely difficult to kill. I'll give you that. A far better challenge than I anticipated.
Caseus was breathing heavily as he swung his blade at Ventress' waist, only for her to catch Cassius' blade in a bind and disarm him with a swift spin, sending his saber tumbling off to the side. Before he could call his saber back to his hand, Ventress reached out with the force and gripped Caseus by the throat, moving him closer to the edge.
But you vastly overestimate your Jedi abilities. Farewell, Padawan.
Ventress dropped Caseus over the edge of the palace. As she turned to leave, she heard the distinct noise of an approaching ship, and turned to see Caseus alive, standing on top of an LAAT. And you overestimate yours! The door to the shuttle opened as Master Takai leapt out along with Caseus, who called his weapon to his hand as his master ignited hers. Now you have nowhere to run. Surrender! Ventress knew she would be outmatched here, but she had an escape plan. She just needed to buy herself a minute of time. Quickly, she pressed a button on her comlink and lunged at the two Jedi, who combated her blow for blow. Master Takai was fresh and ready to fight. Ventress was quickly losing stamina. She attempted to strike at Master Takai, who blocked the attack and swiftly headbutted the assassin directly in her nose, drawing blood. Stunned, Ventress was knocked to her back, two Jedi blades at her throat.
Your master clearly wasn't the best teacher. Surrender now, Ventress.
Suddenly, the roaring of a ship was heard. Caseus turned around and saw a separatist bomber heading straight for them. Master! This brief moment was all Ventress needed, as she screamed in fury, using the force to push both Jedi several feet back before leaping into the air and landing on the bomber, activating her comlink.
Do it now!
The bomber quickly fired torpedoes at the palace, striking the elevator shaft and causing the top of the structure to tilt and sway as it began to collapse. Master Takai quickly helped Caseus up.
Run!
Caseus ran with his master, who leapt onto the LAAT. Caseus jumped and tried grabbing onto the ship, narrowly missing as he began to fall, only for Juro to grab his wrist and help him on board, as the top of the palace tumbled hundreds of feet to the ground. As Caseus caught his breath, Master Takai spoke to the pilot.
Get us back to the ship. Tell the captain to have R3 open the hangar doors and prepare to jump to light speed.
Yes, General.
What about Ventress?
We can't waste any more time going after her. We need to get out of here before it's too late.
As they flew back up to their command ship, Caseus saw the damage from the attacking separatists was getting worse. They had no starfighters left to spare. Those that had survived had been forced to retreat back to the hangar. They needed to get out fast. The pilot kept their ship moving as the gunner took out potential threats. Soon, the hangar doors opened, and the LAAT landed quickly inside. Master Takai quickly ran to the comlink on the ship.
Captain, get us out of here!
Preparing to jump, General.
Within a few seconds, the cruiser jumped to lightspeed and everything was quiet, the tension in the air briefly subsiding. Master Takai saw that the Countess was shocked and still in pain.
Juro, get Countess Sandara to the medical bay.
Right away, General.
Caseus took a deep breath and wiped the sweat from his forehead.
Are you okay, Caseus?
I'll be fine. What happened down there? How did Ventress get a hold of your comlink?
My guess is that while I was talking to the Countess, Ventress suddenly swiped my comlink from my belt. I'll give her this, she's crafty. After I left, things must have turned sour between the Countess and Ventress.
Why would she call me down with a distress signal then?
I think her plan was to force the Countess to sign over her allegiance and then kill her, framing you in the process. This way they would have control of the planet and would use her death to dissuade any other systems from joining the Republic. Words can't describe how thankful I am that you were able to stop her.
Thank you, Master. And I'm sorry again for everything that happened.
It's okay, Caseus. You took initiative today, even when it meant defying orders. You saved the Countess. That's what's important. Head to the medical bay and check on her. I'll be there shortly.
Yes, Master. Caseus made his way through the cruiser to the medical bay where Juro was finishing tending to the Countess's wounds. Your Grace, are you okay?
Yes, and no. I'm very grateful to you, young Jedi. And to your trooper here. You've saved my life. Though Herdessa is now under Separatist control. The document I signed was binding. I'm afraid the Confederacy now controls the system.
Caseus smiled a very mischievous smile.
That
document. It wouldn't happen to look like this, would it? Caseus withdrew the document from his pocket as the Countess's eyes grew wide.
What? How did you get that?
I was able to swipe it off Ventress during the fight. She's not the only one who can swipe things unnoticed. The Countess smiled and took the document, tearing it to pieces. Does this mean you'll join with the Republic?
I can't give an answer just yet. I need to rest for a bit. Please.
Of course. Juro can contact us whenever you're ready. Juro smiled and nodded at Caseus, who smiled in return before leaving the medical bay and heading to the bridge.